So what it do, professors and TAs? Hope you guys are having a great day. Let's just get right into it. I did the bee project and I called it Kirby edition because I used Kirby sprites instead of bees. So the first thing that makes this code complex obviously is OOP. OOP is super helpful. I learned a lot and practiced a lot through using OOP to make sure that all my code is organized and efficient, and the self.attributes were such a lifesaver because it's so easy to organize. Next thing is adding and taking out the flowers. I have a random flower generator that spawns flowers across all valid x coordinates at the bottom, and it starts a little bit below the screen. And the random takes care of the color, the x coordinate, as well as is pollinator, because in my initialize for the flower class, I have either is pollinator, false or true, and then I have that random, so it's either solid or ringed, whether it's a pollinator or not. And if it moves off screen, obviously the if it goes past 0 minus like flower.size, I remove it from the list of app.flowers, so you can see that the flower counter at the top right never goes above 20 or 21 flowers. So that keeps it efficient and make sure it doesn't slow down. The next thing is managing the pollen inventory. So as you can see, as I go over flowers and collect them, pollen, they appear in my pollen inventory, and there's a max of 10. So if I try to grab an 11th, as you can see, there's a message up that shows pollinate some more flowers in order to free space. So I need to pollinate some flowers in order to drop down to 9 and 8, and then I can pick up more and so on. So this is actually only for the self-controlled bee. For the helper bees, once they reach 10 and then they try to pick up an 11th, there's no thing as like they have to pollinate some to drop. It just I have a thing where it pops the most recent color that it's trying to pick if it already has one. So then they're just able to pick up a 10th and move on. So I just have that extra feature for my self-controlled bee. The next thing is the bee movement. It's not just linear, based on the distance calculated between the mouse and the sprite, or for the helper bees, it's the self dot target flower that is done through the choose target method, and it follows a nonlinear equation to make sure that the farther away, the faster it moves, and the closer it is, the slower it moves. The next thing is smoothly growing the flowers. So I did this by on redraw and on step. I made sure that I only grew the size of the flower by a very small pixel amount, so that since the steps are very fast in the program, it looks very smooth and it's not choppy. And as you can see, when I grow, if I grab a pollen on screen and grow it, the one I grabbed it from, the pollinated flower grows, and as well as the one in the inventory grows as well. I just stole that flower from Kirby. The next thing is keeping track of which pollen indicators should grow. I just talked about that. And the next thing is the sine wave of the x coordinate. So the of the flowers, the dy is just a constant up. It's going up like 3 pixels at on every step. And the dx has a sine wave to it. This is one of the first things I was playing around with because I'm really into music. So I was playing around with the amplitude and the period of the sine waves, and I made it so it's a very slow kind of drifting in the wind kind of feel. I thought that was really cool. I learned a lot about that. Instructions appearing and disappearing. I just have a spacebar toggle that makes the instructions, the more instructions, and this little CS Academy type counter stuff appear and disappear. In terms of efficiency, I tried to keep everything very concise. The helper bees follow the scaffolded steps of finding a choose target and then calling that choose target in the player on step. The player is a subclass of the autonomous bee, so I didn't rewrite any code except the player on step and the redraw for the pollen inventory. And the helper bees are just doing their thing. When I first made them, they're a little bit too fast, but I slowed them down so I could keep up with them. And yeah, that's my bee game.